Hello and welcome to the Curator's Salon podcast. I'm excited today to introduce you to my friend and guest, Sonia Borrell. Welcome, Sonia.
Oh, hello. How are you? It's so nice to be here, meeting you, and finally after Paris. And I'm very happy to be here. Thank
Oh,
you.
I'm excited to talk to you for longer today because we met in Paris at Tanya's exhibition, an exhibition that you curated. Um, and you also had a book signing for your book, which is called Art in Real Time. I have a copy. Can you share more about your background and what led to this book?
hmm Yes, of course. I have been an art enthusiast for many, many years, and I love to have contact with the artist. So through my Instagram account, Sonia Bibi London, I have a lot of contact with a lot of emerging artists. So they were always asking me, Sonia, what do you think? What can I do to improve? How can I get to galleries? Do you think this gallery is going to be serious? Do you think my art is good enough? Do you think my style is good enough? All these type of questions that they are very, very different from artist to artist. So it's like everything is very personal and private. And then my son, Alexander, that he wrote the book with me, so it's written in two hands. And he told me, you have to write a book about that. And it will help so many people because he was bringing a lot of friends at home every week to ask me all those questions. And then they said, you need to we need to have this in writing. And then I did it. And then I thought, I can give more if I have some collaborators because I always believe that we can't do anything alone. We need to work. We're a workforce when we are together with more people. So I invited 10 collaborators to contribute in this book. And it was two artists, two journalists, two artists, two journalists, two galleries, different experts on the field. And one of the families that I advised, and this guy is Nawaf Al-Thari from Saudi Arabia, he wrote the foreword because he knows me well. And then the aim of this book is to help people to navigate through the modern art world that I call the ultra contemporary art world. Because now, as you can see in many auction houses, they talk about the new now. It's like, what is the new now? And many people, they don't know. So I talk about the art that is being created now in the 21st century by artists that they are less than, let's say, 40-year old. Okay. So most of these artists, they come out from the university, they are like 23, 25-year old, and they don't know how to navigate the art world. So this is this is a tool to help them. And what I want, for instance, I only collect art from living artists, you know, because I want to help this movement to get forward. And normally, I only, at this moment, and for the last 16 years, I only collect figurative art from living artists. Yes. And I don't say that maybe one day I change and say, oh, now I want to collect abstract or only sculpture or only other things. But in this point of my life, I like figurative because I need to have the figure, like the human figure somehow. And I connect through the eyes of the people and I connect through the eyes of the canvases. So for me, it's very important to have this emotional part because I am very emotional. And for me, art is through the emotions. So this is where I call the ultra contemporary art. And I believe that the artists from today, they are the masters of tomorrow. And this is the moment to support them and walk beside them. So in the future, they can be the masters that, like in the old days, I don't know, the Impressionists or any other movement that has been in the past.
Yeah, I think there's something really important about people that are collecting art or want to develop an art collection to look at art of their own time, right? Of now, whatever that is. Like, 10 years ago, we would have been looking at artists that were making art 10 years ago. And fortunately, many of them are still around and we're still, working with them and following them and things like that. And I think that is what really makes interesting art collections. Even when you at the top end of the market, you see people that have collected work and maybe they're going to auction or whatever it is, or we are learning about people's, I don't know, biographies and things like that. A lot of those people historically even were connecting their contemporaries, right? The artists that were actually practicing at that time. Your book is called How to Curate Your Very Own Ultra Contemporary Art Collection. So you've obviously been building out the collection over the years. And can you share a bit more about how you advise others to do the same?
Yes, my advice is always to choose the art that you like and don't collect for investment. Okay. So the most important thing is like if you want to become a collector and you are not sure which type of art you like, before you do that, you start going to museums, galleries, exhibitions, and you because it's very sad. Like to for nowadays, there are a lot of people that are very consumer oriented, and they like to buy like they go to Zara or to any store, and they can buy 10 things, and then they return five, and they go back home and they return three more, and a lot of people do that. But art is not like this because art when you buy a piece of art, it's a piece of yourself. So if you want to create your own collection, I see, for instance, my collection. Through my collection, I see my history. So you are making history. So even if you buy two artworks every year and your budget is small, because I mean, you don't need to be a millionaire to be an art collector. You just have to know where to go and to collect artists of your generation. And if you grow with them, you meet them, you go to the studios, meet the artists, you get involved with everything they do, you will get more and more in love. And maybe you will decide that every year you want to support this artist and buy one artwork every year or two, or one artwork every 2 years. And maybe through this artist, or the person that introduced you to this artist, you will meet another artist that maybe is next door or in the neighborhood or whatever. And then maybe you will create like a art friends group. And then through this group of friends, you will meet more collectors, more artists, and you will create a community. And a community together is so strong that it's very possible that this movement can become very famous afterwards. But I believe always to work together with group of artists, collectors, galleries, or advisors. You need to push everyone together, and you always will identify the people that have the same tastes through their webs, through conversations, through coffees. You can go for coffees. I think it's very good to start with artists that they live in your same city, or that is accessible. It's easy to go and see. And then you can expand on artists that they live overseas.
Yeah, and I think also obviously social media these days gives us access to at least see what is happening further afield. But I agree with connecting with artists in person, like, studios, exhibitions, um, all these sorts of things, right? Even the meetups, every so often there are open studio kind of events. But then, social media does let us see work further afield. Like there's some artists I follow on social media and I'm really excited about their work. But for various reasons, I don't own their work. So they either didn't have something in budget. When they did offer something that was in budget, I wasn't in love with it as much as I'd seen something else that they'd made previously. So there's people like me and you that are also waiting in the wings, is what I would say. We're just waiting for that right thing that fits with my timing, my budget, the aesthetic, whatever it is, right? And seeing that artist has momentum. So what I would say to that for the artists that might be listening is like not to lose faith just because you're not getting immediate sales or conversions because you, I don't know, had an exhibition or an open studio event or something like that. You still might be the subject of conversations in rooms you don't even know about, and that's quite likely.
Yes, totally agree with you. And not every piece of artwork is for sale. So when you are an artist and you are creating, some artworks are for sale, some artworks are to keep for the artist, because it's very important that I always tell all the artists a percentage of artworks created on a certain year, they always have to stay with the artist or artist family. Because if one day you want to see what you did 20 years later, 10 years later, or you would like to do an exhibition, you need to make sure that you have access to those artworks, and they stay. So this is one of the things that the artists they need to understand. Not every year is for sale, you have to sell, and not every year is to create a masterpiece that everybody is gonna love. And you can't just paint with the people as you all the time, because if you are an expert painting butterflies and the blue butterfly is the hit, you can't paint for the whole year 25 butterflies, because then your audience is going to get tired of you, you know. And you're, in the end, you will not pay from your, you will not paint from your heart, you will paint from your memory, because you remember the first blue butterfly that you painted, you know. So the artists, they have to understand, for instance, 2024 has been a year that the collectors have been very cautious and they didn't buy a lot of artworks. But it has been an incredible year to explore themselves for artists, to produce, to experiment with different techniques, you know. And this is very important. I visit every year like different universities, and I go and meet artists that they just came out from master degrees in art and things like that. And many, they think, oh, now I have the master, I can go directly to the gallery and sell, you know. In most of the cases, it's not, this is not the standard, you know. Maybe there is a small percentage, I don't know, 5% or 10%, that they manage to get into a gallery and start selling. But most of the artists, when they finish the master, they have to dedicate some years, I don't know, 3 years, 5 years, to develop their technique, to know where they are going, and to know if they are going to be serious about this, or perhaps they are going to move into different territory, you know. So it's about exploration.
I've seen this fail on both sides actually, where I remember years ago a gallerist saying like, yeah, we're gonna like get these hot young artists that come out of the RCA, the Royal College of Art, and they were wanting to rep only people that had come out of the RCA. And there was this implication that because they'd come out of the RCA, that they were already of a level that this gallery wanted to work with and represent. However, there's another side of this, which is just because the artist has come out of, whether it's, you know, any particular art school or has their MFA and things like that, they haven't still necessarily found their visual language or their artist identity. They're still sometimes in an evolving stage that they're not quite ready to work with a gallery either. And this is one of the reasons I personally don't buy from graduate shows anymore. I have done in the past, but I find that after graduating, some artists just still need to find their feet. They've been going through the institution, through the program and things like that. And there's a deadline and there's a thesis to write and all these sorts of things that very much consume them, but that is not really, it's kind of sometimes feeling like a deviation from their authentic voice that they want, you know, the sort of work they want to be doing, or they're in a program that is about one particular medium, but really they want to experiment with something else. And it takes a while for them to sometimes just find their their place, their voice, their visual language, you know, all those sorts of things that I think, you know, when they go, okay, well, I'm just actually going to go and get a job for a while, it's like fine, because now then the art that they are making is not on the pressure of them needing to make to sell. So having kind of other work or employment or whatever it is like actually, you know, very supportive of their art career, because it gives them, you know, they're able to be their own patron for a while, in that they have that time to create on their own terms without the financial pressure of making things that are only for the marketplace. Um, but I think, you know, when they then kind of slowly come back, which is a lot of my audience, they come back to making art, or the pandemic allowed them to have more time making art, right? They've kind of realized, you know, this was always their calling. And then, yes, they've had some detours through life, but actually that fuels their work, because now maybe their parents and things like that. So now they've got more to channel into the messaging around their work, right? What drives them to actually make and things like that. So I think, you know, everybody's art journey is quite different, and it it takes time to sometimes find your voice. But I know you mentor artists that have come out of art school as well.
Yes, because sometimes you meet them and then they are really, they have great expectations with life, and they have done this master. They came to London from overseas. It's a very expensive education. And all of a sudden they realize that there's no magic, you know. And they have presented in their graduation one or two artworks that some of them, it took them like 3 months to elaborate. But then when they have to come to the real life with it, for instance, when if they want to work with galleries, a gallery will need maybe for every show 10 hours or 12 or 15, and then how long does it take? Because if you did a presentation, it took you through 3 months to do one artwork, it means that you don't master your style yet. So you need to work more. If this is your style and you thought you found your style, you need to work more on your style until you master the work that you can do it like in 1 week or 2 weeks, no more. You can't stay 3 months for one artwork, because then you are not going to be commercial. If this is your objective, if you want to work for an artwork for 1 year, because this is not a commercial purpose, this is fantastic, because not every year is to sell. But many of the artists, when they go to these masters, what they want is to become famous, to exhibit in incredible galleries, that these galleries, they will take them to museums. And for instance, there are some artists that they have been going around for many, many years. For instance, we were laughing the other day with my family because we saw that Alex Katz got the Medal of Arts from the President of the United States. And I've known him for many years, and I thought he already would have had. It's the equivalent in the UK for the Obey. He has done so much for his country, but he got the medal at 97 years old. And I thought, oh, it was a little bit risky because many people don't live so long. But now it's getting recognized by his president. But at 97. So we're talking about students, they come from the university, they are 23, 25-year-old, and they still have a long journey, and maybe they have a decade to develop their style, and then they will find themselves. In the meantime, they need to find a job to support themselves. But I will recommend to find jobs that are related to arts, because then other people will appreciate your time. They will respect that maybe you have an exhibition, potential exhibition, and you will be able to stay connected with the art world. Because if you go, for instance, in a profession that is nothing to do with the arts, you will disconnect from this community. And then it will be very difficult because maybe you don't have a lot of free time. So I will recommend to work part-time, or if you need the money, full-time, but maybe like for galleries, for museums, I don't know, for art fairs, in education with as an art teacher, helping art teachers, or at the university. Never disconnect 100%, or even if you need to disconnect, because the only way to support yourself is to disconnect and find another type of job. Then get involved in charity events that they run all around the year, especially in the UK. There are so many art events. For instance, now I'm the one of the new juries for women in art. It's a prize that is given to different artists in the UK in photography. This year they have they are going to give as well in sculpture, and from 2025 is going to be as well for a female international artist. And I'm a part of the jury. So even if you don't have a lot of time to dedicate yourself as an artist, you need at least to have 2 or 3 days a week that you continue with what you want to do, because not everything is about getting rich and earn a lot of money. And when you are young, is the moment to do a little bit of sacrifices and pursue your career and try very, very hard. And you have to think that these artists, that they made it and now they are so famous, and they were living in terrible conditions. Like if you think about Picasso when he started, or all the Impressionists, they were cold, they were hungry, they were suffering. I don't say that we have to suffer, because nowadays the people in the 21st century don't suffer the same way. They have a roof, and they have shoes, and they have coats, and they have scarves, all these things. But still, they need to do sacrifice, and it's very important to find your own style. So I will say to every artist, try to find your own style as fast as possible.
Yeah, and it comes with a bit of time and dedication to that, doesn't it? Sonia, you're heading to Miami next week for Art Basel. What are you looking forward to seeing?
Well, in Miami now, it's like I was looking at the program this week, and there are 14 art fairs. So you can find all type of arts for every price, for every pocket, for every style, for every collector. So there are let's say 3 places that are my favorites. Art Basel, I like to go for one day because I see very high quality artworks there. My second favorite is Nada because it's the art fair for emerging artists and they are very spontaneous. There are a lot of artists, a lot of emerging galleries helping them. And it's an art fair that a lot of young people that they come from traditions of collectors, they attend, you know? And I think it's very funny. The other one I really, really love is Untitled, that is in front of the beach, you know, it's a beautiful space, it's smaller, you have the time to chat to the galleries and many times as well they bring the artists there. Is really nice and I expect to meet a lot of collectors. I'm going to meet a friend that is a collaborator of the book, my book Art in Real Time, Didi Rufus, and I will meet her there. We are going to do a podcast to present the Spanish version of the book, Art in Real Time, but Art en Tiempo Real, the Spanish version. So the best to travel for art is to meet the friends. Like when I met you in Paris and Kat and Tanya, you know, all these people. The best of art is the community you build around all the trips and around the art events.
It is. It's so true. Like Paris was such a great trip, like hanging out with you and Tanya and Kat and, other artists I know that are based in Paris or were passing through Paris. I'm not going to be going to Miami this year, but, one of these days I will return. But no, same for me. I think Untitled is my number one favorite fair. Art Basel is amazing, but it's massive, massive event. So I think that you have to kind of be a bit more focused at Art Basel at the main fair. I don't mind Context and Art Miami. They kind of merge into each other a little bit, but they do serve a slightly more, dare we say, commercial market
Yeah.
there. But they do have a loyal following, right? And I know galleries that sell there that do very well. So,
I
but they're
always
a
go as
different
well
kind of a
there.
mood. Sorry?
No, I always go there as well, but it's so crowded, so big that it's very difficult to concentrate, get focused, get to talk to the people, you know? It's full of, I think it's last year, for instance, was too much. For me, it was overwhelming, I have to say.
Yeah, I think I didn't go last year. I was there the year before, and I was there the year the Catalan um comedian sold actually, whenever that was. Was that the year before COVID, maybe? So that was fun. But no, I mean the city or Miami Beach, really does come alive, and it is something that I hope a lot of artists get to experience at some point. Especially from Europe, it always feels like it's very far away and a very exotic trip, but it is worth it to at least experience at some point. And then next year, will you be returning to Paris, Art Basel, maybe?
Yes, of course. Paris, I love Paris, and I think for ultra contemporary art is an incredible city. They have a lot of experience on Asian artists, a lot of the galleries, and a lot of artists. It's like, you know, I don't know if it's good or bad that I say that, but I really want to say, there are a lot of young collectors that they didn't come from homes that they were collecting. And then to me, it's like they started in art because first they got influenced in luxury brands, you know? So they went through luxury brands, they realized that they sometimes it's a little bit not very deep, shallow, it's a little bit like superficial, and they wanted something else. They wanted something more exclusive, and more exclusive than art is nothing. They like the exactly, and they like they like all this exclusivity concept, and what more exclusive than get an artist to paint you a canvas and hang it in your home. And for me, if it's figurative, if it's from Asian artists, I love their style. I love the big eyes. I love the art that creates emotion. So definitely, I need to be in Paris next year.
Amazing. Well, hopefully I will see you there. Sonia, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I am sure you will be returning to the podcast very soon. We have got so much to talk about. Maybe next time we talk about our own journeys through collecting a bit more personally and, what we've been drawn to and all those sorts of things as well. The book Art in Real Time is available on Amazon, and I'm going to add a link in the show notes, and I'll also add Sonia's Instagram so you can go and follow her on social media. Thank you so much, Sonia. I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to explain about the book, my life as a collector, and I see you soon. Take care.